Hey guys, what is going on? Iveco here, and welcome to my first ever episode in the new series of Make It Great Again. Today we will be looking at Killing Floor 2. Now, those of you that don't know what Killing Floor 2 is, I'm about to explain it to you. So what is Killing Floor 2? Killing Floor 2 is a zombie shooter standalone game. It's kind of like Nazi Zombies if it were a standalone game. It comes with a variety of zombies, ranging from your basic Zeds to little crawlers that will jump up at you to invisible cloaked women that like to do a roundhouse kick into your face, all the way up to Skrakes, which are big ass guys with chainsaws, and Flesh Pounds who have huge grinders on their arm and want to cut you into a million pieces. Now, to combat these enemies, you do also have a variety of weapons ranging from 9mm pistols up to RPGs, flamethrowers, AA-12s, and just a whole variety of weapons to eliminate Zeds with. So, I definitely like Killing Floor 2, don't get me wrong, it's a game that's close to my heart. I used to love Killing Floor 1, and I've got loads of hours playing Killing Floor 1. It used to be a really good relaxing game that you could just go on and just, after you've had a bad day on a game, or just a bad day at work or something, and you just sit there, blow some Zeds head off, and just blow off some steam. But yeah, we're going to move on now and see what are the problems with Killing Floor 2. Now to look at the problem section for Killing Floor 2, and to see what the problems are for Killing Floor 2, which are prohibiting this game from being a great game and being living up to its predecessor, like how great Killing Floor 1 was. So my first problem, and my main problem with this, is why the hell are we still in early access? It has been a year. The game is already in a solid enough state that it does not need to be in early access. We have enough content in there, you have a huge amount of content in there, a variety of maps, and whatnot that people can play and you can get many hours of gameplay out of. I don't see why it's still in early access. The only reason I can hypothesize for it being in early access still is just purely down to the fact that they have stated that they wanted to get at least 10 perks out before they release the game as a full release. So maybe going towards 10 perks. But at the rate that these updates are coming along, I don't see it coming anytime soon. But we will get to that in a minute. Now my next problem is the most recent patch. This is the Bullseye update that just came out before E3. It has literally made the game broken. Now all the zombies now, whatever the hell they've done to, I think it's Z resistance or whatnot, whatever they've done to it, it makes every zombie feel like a a sponge bag basically. That you shoot a ton of bullets into them and you do no damage. Like, I used to use the Gunslinger class, which is the Pistols class, and you used to be able to one-shot zombies in the head without no issue, and you used to be able to chain a bunch of headshots on zombies. Now, you can't seem to do that. You have to put 4 shots into a zombie's head before he dies and whatnot. So this needs to be immediately fixed, because right now it is making the game completely unplayable, and it's really not helping the declining player base, which is another issue to get into now. The player base is declining. Because of problems like this and lack of content updates and whatnot, the player base is slowly declining, and this is going to get worse and worse down the line. While there's less content coming out and whatnot, people are going to be saying, what is the point? And it's already bad at this point. They need to start, I think, really need to start getting their asses in gear and getting that content out. I know it's easier said than done for me sitting there and saying it, but content needs to start coming out now. Otherwise, we're going to start seeing serious declines and them even abandoning the project possibly. Now, our next issue is the crate system. Oh god, the crate system. For those of you that don't know what I'm on about, the crate system is basically like Counter-Strike Go. Now, in Killing Floor, you have a unique character, and you can customize this character with special little accessories. So riot headgear, headbands, scarves, jackets, and stuff like that. It's basically fully customizable. Now, Killing Floor 2 Tripwire Interactive, I should say, have offered a system now where you can get exclusive items and exclusive weapon skins for your weapons and whatnot by opening up these USB keys or these crates. And these cost around about £2 or whatnot. But why the hell are you doing this before it's come out of early access? I cannot understand this. This has literally felt like alienating the community, because I know a lot of people were strongly against this when it came out, and when they were talking about bringing it out, people were strongly against it. And it pretty much makes the whole point of the Steam Workshop system that they've got. If you don't know what the Steam Workshop system that Tripwire Interactive use, they basically, instead of like just having the mods that other things do, like ETS having like a trailer mod or whatnot, you can actually vote for items to be into the game. So say if it's, I don't know, a funky new rainbow headband or something, you could actually vote for that to be into the game. The problem is with this though, I've seen none of this free LC content come into the game. All this has done has been chucked into the crates, sold on later for £3. And it's just ridiculous. There needs to be a reduction in the amount of this DLC that they're doing, and maybe adding some of these items that are being voted in by the community in as free LC, as in free items that we can get. This will help, obviously, reduce it. It doesn't make them money, but it also shows that they're also caring about the community, as in they want to give back to the community for their input on this game, which is the whole point of early access, is you want the community to give you your input. Now, my next issue is there's too long of a space between content updates. It's taken 3 to 4 months for the Bullseye update, and even longer for other updates to come out. Now, this is a huge problem, and I can't understand what is taking 3 to 4 months. The only thing I can think is possibly these whole balancing updates and these new changes and whatnot are what are taking so long. So the changes to the zombies' damage resistance, how much damage each weapon does, toning it up, toning it down, working on the gun sounds, like the new like the 9mm pistol sound, which it was really problematic at one point, to say the least, and whatnot. But it's not on maps. I don't see it being on the maps, because most of the maps that have come out as of late have been community maps. The Bullseye update maps, the 2 maps that came with that, were both community maps. They were made by the community, by modders, so the only thing I could think they could do on that was touching up the 3D model that was already made. So I don't see what has taken them 3 to 4 months to do these content drops. So I definitely think that they need to start working on getting themselves content out much quicker, or this player base decline is going to become more and more of a thing, and it's going to spiral out of control for them. Now, my next point, and this is a big point, and it's one that extremely gets on my nerves with Tripwire, is people being banned in the Tripwire forums for negative opinions. No. Why the hell would you ban people in the forums for constructive criticism against your game? I've seen people in the forums. I can understand if people are sitting there and saying, "Oh, your game's fucking shit, these developers should die in a hole." That I can understand. But when people are offering constructive criticisms, like maybe the 9mm pistols are a bit too overpowered, you should tone them down and whatnot, how is it helping you by banning that person? All you're doing is alienating that person, and then they go away and go on to another game and basically move their money and any form of any more money going into your pocket as Tripwire Interactive to another company. It is very stupid. You don't see any other company do it. Do you see Activision with Infinite Warfare getting however many dislikes as they did? Do you see them banning people on the forums? Do you see them banning people on YouTube videos and whatnot? Because I don't think you do. I haven't seen it myself anyway. Now, for the next and final problem of this section is they need to focus on the PC. So Killing Floor, they've kind of been splitting up what they're doing now. Now they're expanding to virtual realities and Oculus Rifts. They're trying to port it onto the PS4 and whatnot. But the problem is, it doesn't seem like you're working on the PC. And the big issue with this is the game is already in what I can only describe as a fucked state at the moment. How is porting this onto the PS4 going to be any better, or putting this on an Oculus Rift or VR going to be any more helpful? All this is going to do is show the flaws even more than what it is. So when it goes onto PS4, and you're obviously going to have issues with a console port, just because it is difficult to port onto a console, you're going to have these flaws exposed even more and more. And then when people from the PS4 start coming onto the Tripwire forums and then moaning about the game, saying that there's issues with this, and this, and then you decide that you're going to ban them on the forums because you don't like what you're saying, all that's going to end up doing is ending up in a royal public relations shitstorm where people are not going to trust your game, they're not going to like you as developers, and they are probably going to stop buying Killing Floor 2. Now, other companies you can debate, say maybe they get away with this, like EA. EA gets shit every year, but they still produce games every year that people pick up just because it's such a reputable brand. Whereas, I'm going to be honest, Tripwire Interactive is not as well reputed. Now, Do I think it's bad they're going on to Oculus Rift and virtual reality? God, no. I think it's a great idea that they're going on to them. It means that they can diversify their brand, they can make more money coming into the game. More money being invested into the game means a better quality game, and it means that it might be able to get back to that point where what made Killing Floor 1 so great again. So I'm definitely for this, but what I'm saying is that they need to focus on the PC side of it first. Get the PC side completely polished and in a beautiful state where it's perfect and there's not issues, or if there is issues, it's tiny issues. Then port it onto the PS4. Then move to virtual reality and Oculus Rift. There's no point in moving with a broken product onto other platforms with another broken product, which is just going to end up with bringing, as I said earlier, a PR shitstorm. But that will be the end of all the problems I've got so far. So in the next section, I'm going to be moving on to the solutions. Now to look at the solutions and what could be done to help make this game, Killing Floor 2, go back to its former glory and making it a great game again. So that it brings in more money and it brings in more people. And the game is better, just basically of a higher quality than what it is now. So my first point and the main point is a balance/fix needs to get done now. Fuck expanding over to virtual reality. Fuck this Oculus Rift or PS4 bollocks right now. That does not need to be addressed. What needs to be addressed right now is the core mechanics of the gameplay, because if you cannot get this right on the PC version at the moment, then what hope do you have when you're going to have issues with console ports or when you're trying to transfer it onto Oculus Rift or whatnot? What's going to happen there is literally you are going to see the flaws magnified on a grand scale. And all this is going to do is hurt you as a company. Tripwire Interactive as a company, it's going to hurt you, and it is going to absolutely demolish any credibility that your game has. So my first solution has to be balances and fixes need to be implemented now. Now I understand it's easier said than done. And I can sit there and say, oh, fix this, balance that, and it takes a lot more than that because you have to think on the grand scheme of things with the whole game. But this needs to be their number one priority at the moment. In the current state, the game is unplayable. Now, I've been playing on hard mode and suicidal mode, and this is with my level 20 classes and level 15 classes. So I think I played suicidal with my level 20 support, and I couldn't kill zombies for the life of me. It was an absolute struggle. This needs to be addressed. The damage resistance at the moment is just ridiculous. It definitely needs to be addressed. So that would be my first priority. The second priority needs to be focus on the PC version first. As I've just aforementioned here, the balance and the fixing needs to be implemented, but focus on this PC version. Once you have a beautiful diamond of a game or whatnot, or this shimmering game that you can say that's fucking amazing or whatnot, then move that onto the PS4, then port that onto Oculus Rift, then get your virtual reality headsets into this. Because, as I've said here, if you port this now, where in the current state that it's in, and I mean they were showing it off at E3 and whatnot, as in, oh, it looks amazing and whatnot. Yes, it looks great on the presentation board, and yes, it looks great in the Sony conference or whatnot, but what's going to happen is when people come onto the console and they go, oh, let's buy Killing Floor 2, and then they realise, oh wow, this is a shit stain. What's going to happen? There's going to be a universal outcry at Tripwire Interactive. Now, the PR outbreak from this could be absolutely cataclysmic, as in they would not be able to recover from it. I can't think of any other real franchises apart from Killing Floor that Tripwire Interactive has brought in a ton of money in. So they definitely need to think about getting the PC version into a great standard, at least to a solid standard, before they even think about doing this port malark or moving people across and whatnot. Now my third solution is don't ban people off the forums for negative opinions about your game and whatnot. As I've said, yes, I can understand if people are being racist, homophobic, or being stupid, or giving negative opinions like, oh, all the devs should die in a hole, or any of that stupid crap, then yes, I can understand that. But the problem is when you ban people that are giving you constructive criticism on your game, and then you kick them off the forums and say, get off the forums, all they do is go into another branch of social media, for example. So then they go onto Steam. So now you can go into the Steam reviews if you want on Killing Floor 2. You can see on the list there, I guarantee you right now, there's probably 2 or 3 people saying, try and ban me on here, Tripwire, or ban my review here, Tripwire, or something along the lines. And to mention that at the moment, the Steam reviews of Killing Floor 2 are pretty much mixed, with most of the most recommended reviews being negative reviews and not recommending the game. Maybe that should tell you something about the current state of the game and why you need to be fixing this and addressing this right now. And the other thing is it's a total contradiction of what early access is. Now, the intention Tripwire had when they started this in Killing Floor 2 in early access was to work with the community. Why the fuck are you kicking people off the forums and banning them for constructive criticism when you are in early access and all suggestions, as you put it, all suggestions are going to be accepted? That is very ignorant and extremely stupid. And as I've said it before in the problems, it's going to in the end, let's say it gets multiplied on a grand scale because of the port to PS4 and more people come and complain, when a bunch of people get banned off of there, all you're going to see is a PR shitstorm for them, which I don't think a small indie company like Tripwire is going to be able to brace or ride that wave. Now, my third point in the solutions is reduce the microtransactions. Now, I understand the microtransactions are cosmetic, and yes, they're not DLC. You're not forcing me to, you're not putting content behind a paywall, for example. It's only cosmetic stuff. Yes, I can understand that, and I don't mind that. But the sheer amount of content that you have right now clearly shows that you've got a problem with just DLCing out the game, and it just makes the game look like an absolute cash cow. It's literally, I think there's about 50 items, right? Let's say you open up, I think it's about 50 items anyway. Let's say you open up 50 packs that cost around about £3 each. That's £150 to try and get everything in all the crates. Now you got to multiply that probably by another 2 because you'll have duplicates and whatnot. It's near enough like £200, £300 worth of content in cosmetics. And while people will say, oh yeah, but you don't have to buy all of that, it's still ridiculous. It's multiplied by 100 times worse the fact that it is an early access game. The fact that you have sat there and spent time to work on DLCs and working on cash cowing your game rather than fixing the structural integrity of your game is very, very stupid. And it definitely needs to be, they definitely need to reduce the microtransaction. Now, am I saying abolish microtransactions, get rid of them, fuck them, whatnot? No, because the microtransaction system that they have right now, where they're encouraging modders to basically put up their designs so that they have a possibility of getting their designs into the game, I think it's a fantastic idea. And I've said that a system like that could be implemented into Euro Truck Simulator 2 or American Truck Simulator 2 with great levels of success. But there should be, some of these items should also be allowed to be released as free LC content. So if the modders' permission, obviously, that you can put it into the game as a free item. I mean, it doesn't have to be that every single item has to be free, but maybe, I don't know, within the 5 items that get brought in per month, put 1 or 2 as free items and then have 3 that are able to be sold as cosmetics. It would make it seem a hell of a lot more better than what the current system is, where everything that seems to come out of the Steam Workshop in terms of voted into the game is just literally microtransactions to buy out of a case to keep the cash cow churning, and it's pissing people off. You can see this by the declining player base. But anyway, that's been my solutions for now, so I am going to summarize my final thoughts. Okay, so now for my final thoughts with Killing Floor 2, and to summarise this video on whether or not Killing Floor 2 can be made great again, or whether or not it's going to see a spiral of decline, or whether or not it can be saved. Now, it may seem that I've come across in this video as being very one-sided and whatnot, but don't get me wrong, Killing Floor 2 is a game that I love but also hate. I hate the fact that the state it's in right now with Z damage resistance and nerfs to the flesh pound, so that the flesh pound is basically weak and it's not a challenge. That stuff at the moment I do not like, but I still love the game for the core gameplay. There's nothing like coming home from a stressful day at work or a bad day at school or just having a shit day and going on Killing Floor 2, all you got to do is find a server or play solo, pick a class, and then literally just go and blow some heads off. There's nothing quite like venting some anger on some normal Zeds, just blowing their heads off and see blood oozing out of their heads, or being able to shoot crawlers or cloaked zombies across the room with a shotgun. Stuff like that is really therapeutic, and it's one of the things that I do love about this game. It is such a relaxing game. It's one of those games that you could just pick up and play, and it relaxes you, and you don't have to put in maximum effort like if you were playing, for example, Call of Duty multiplayer or maybe an RTS or something. Now, I think Killing Floor 2 can be turned around, and that it could be made great again. It could even be on par with what Killing Floor 1 was. Now, some people would probably disagree with that, but it does have the potential. If they fix this stuff in terms of the issues with balance and the issues with frame rate and port optimizations and whatnot, then the game can become a great game. Then you imagine that being ported onto other consoles, so that being put onto the PS4, being put onto Oculus Rift and virtual reality headsets, right? That then gives them potential to bring in a much bigger amount of money, especially from the PS4 port. Let's bear in mind, if they made this in a solid game with at least a solid state of affairs, that there's no issues with optimization or performance and whatnot, and the console port's launch goes okay. I mean, there's going to be bugs with the console port, don't get me wrong, but the potential that the console port has is something they've never had before, and the amount of money they can make from this is great, because that means they can then reinvest it into this game, or maybe something like Killing Floor 3, or maybe another game like this that fans of the Killing Floor franchise can get hours and hours more fun. So I definitely think it can be turned around. It's not too late, but action needs to be taken now, as the player base is seriously declining, and if they leave it too late to implement these fixes or to start getting more content out or any of the solutions that I've said, then they're going to basically get to a point where it's not going to be profitable to keep the game going, and it's just going to be scrapped, and it's going to be another statistic on Steam of an early access game that has basically been ditched and thrown in the bin by the developers. Now, that has been my first video of the series of Make It Great Again for Killing Floor 2. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Now, if you agree or disagree with me, let me know down in the comments section below. If you like the video, give it a like. If you like more content like this, then make sure to subscribe. And go and look in the description below for my Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook links. Go and sign up to them and come join us on a stream maybe when we're streaming. But yeah, I am going to sign off here, so thank you everybody for watching. I've been Mr. Iveco, and you've been you. Peace out.
Saying that it feels right.